On. I spent a little time picking this background out, and hold on one second. Let me mute all. There we go. You can still unmute yourself. I spent a little time picking this background out because I think a lot of times when it comes to living in the private, people are taking this as anything more than something that is. I want you to just simplify this in your mind. And my journey, I'll explain a little bit of my journey, but this literally is quitting a corporation. So it's much like having a job. So if you have employment at a company and you don't like them, enough is enough, you can quit. And that's all this is. This isn't rocket science. This isn't you have to look at the agreements, you have to look at the different elements of what made you an employee to this company. And this company just happens to be the largest company on the face of the earth, the United States Corporation. And every single person that believes that they are indebted to this company or that they are a citizen of this company really are not. The citizen of the company is the artificial person. See, there is plenty of Supreme Court rulings that say a corporation cannot do business with a living man or woman. It's very simple. You have to do business with a like entity. So they've created these terms in statute and code that sound a lot like a man or a woman, like individual or artificial person or person. And they're not actually a man or a woman. As a matter of fact, they even created one for a man, which is natural person. And that is still debatable in Supreme Court rulings as to whether that means a man or not. The idea of you being bound forever to a company by the name of the IRS is all voluntary by nature. And people say, yeah, but if you don't do it, they're going to kick your front door in. And yes, if you don't pay your taxes after contracting with them appropriately, of course, and if you did some things to piss them off, they might treat you as such. But I have seen firsthand how the IRS is responding once you quit the corporation. And the idea of your ability to quit a job is absolute within the IRS code, the Social Security Administration code, and it's just absolute, period. And it's unfortunate that they feel they have to hook us into these adhesion trusts, such as SSA, IRS, voting, driver's license. And I mean that they are trusts. They are not contracts. They've created a trust indentures called the application. They are the grantor, and if you read the terms on the back, they are the beneficiary. You're walking in on the front side of the application saying, I want a job. I want to hold that office. I want to get my little cool card called the driver's license, and I will perform all those functions. And if I don't, I might do jail time. I might do 6 months, whatever, of house arrest. I might do whatever it is the terms are on the back and whatever the judge felt that it was required of you to do. And so people fail for a lack of knowledge. And we have all these exits within the system because they had to make it. The United States of America is not the same as the United States Corporation. The United States Corporation can be found in law at 9 UCC 307H, and it literally says the United States Corporation exclusive jurisdiction is in the District of Columbia. And exclusive jurisdiction, those are the key words, because if you think, well, then what's outside of the District of Columbia? It's the United States of America. And what we have in our ability to do what we do is we have the ability to quit the corporation, and we have to deal with these adhesion trusts and these adhesion contracts that we've been dealing with for years. But we do it here at HISAdvocates in a form that they can't do anything with. And I'm going to show you a sample diagram. It's very extensive, and I don't want to frustrate you, and I don't want to confuse you. but you've gone through a lot to get into this position that you're currently in. And there is one way out. There's a lot of people that will tout that you just write an affidavit, you put it in the public, and boom, you're free. You have to look at how the psyche of what they do to gain jurisdiction in anything. And that's really all that matters. If you want to be left alone, you got to be able to beat the indictment. You got to be able to beat the warrant. Now, I'm not doing this for criminals. I'm not doing this to take the long arm of the law and removing it for you because you desire to be a criminal. I'm doing this for state of the union citizens to convert people to becoming American again. Now, everybody in its root is if they're born on this nation or naturalized, is, well, not naturalized, but if you're born, you are an American. You just have contracts or adhesion trusts that stipulate and make sure that you are alleged to the District of Columbia. And so when you're watching what is going on in this world, and when you're watching how they are handling the funds, and when you're watching the level of dishonesty, we've just this week, in my opinion, have become a banana republic. And watching the leadership, quote unquote, of this nation and what is coming out at the January 6th events within Congress, and what is coming out with Nancy and AOC and all these people that, and including Republicans, all these people that are supposedly supposed to be your public servants, it's an absolute joke. And we should be in total fear if you're bound to that corporation. And I say that because this is all smoke and dog shows. They are trying to get you diverted from the actual events that are taking place in the background, including but not limited to Donald Trump being arrested this week. That would be a cause for absolute, I said it, civil war on the land. I said it would happen a long time ago if Donald Trump was arrested. Civil war would break out. But please understand something. The reason why you know that's a part of the show is because no sitting or retired president can be arrested. They have absolute immunity, 100%. You cannot ever arrest them. So when somebody says, like Donald Trump, I'm about to be arrested, or some prosecutor out there is doing this, you know it's for a dog and pony show. And so we have to think, what is the show about? It's to divert our attention from the selling out of all of these assets within the United States, to divert your attention from a collapsing economy, to divert your attention from the selling off of the greatest nation on earth, to bring about a new world order, to bring about a great reset. And I've always said, and I truly believe that this nation will exist beyond the great or the new world order and the great reset. I believe there will be pockets. I believe that in totality, we will have these 15-minute cities, and then you're going to have communities that are very, very large of everybody that is currently, like right now in this community. You may have to move, you may have to whatever to hold your freedom together, but I believe we are in for some interesting times. And what they're doing is legally, lawfully selling off this nation. And you guys that are holding that office, you guys that are believing that birth certificate is you guys that haven't done any paperwork or done the wrong paperwork, you guys that are waiting for something to happen before you make a move, you are the surety in law and the collateral for the debt of a defunct corporation that already bankrupted and is now being liquidated, the United States. And so when you start to realize what I just said, and you understand that the republic has been reinstituted and that the world is on notice with this, you have conflicting arguments here on this land. You have an argument that the Lieber Code and Supreme Court rulings and international code protects private citizens in every nation. That's what a state citizen is. It's a private citizen. And you have right here within the Supreme Court rulings, hundreds of Supreme Court cases that talk about state citizenship and the fact that it has nothing to do with the United States and that the United States has no jurisdiction over a state citizen. I've done videos where I've shown 30, 40 Supreme Court rulings discussing state citizenship, and none of which discussed national of the United States, state national, state citizen. I mean, whatever term or version, this is critical and important because what is being touted out there by these many is something that makes you in the jurisdiction of the United States, meaning that word national or any version of it, national of the United States or any version of it. And so for me, I've looked at this for 12, 13 years as HISadvocates. We have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. I still hold an active real estate broker's license. It's the highest level license you can have for my field in the state of California. I've done thousands of loans. I understand chain of title probably better than anybody. I could be considered an expert witness in court. I've done a 9-hour chain of title training worth thousands of dollars. I give it away for free online. I've helped thousands of people in foreclosure. I've gotten houses free and clear. I've been an actively part of hundreds and hundreds of lawsuits. I don't do that anymore because of the level of the fraud, because of the level of the pain that it causes me personally, emotionally, and the families and the victims. And I steer them towards teams of people that can really help them, because I felt like it was just an overwhelming battle. Even if you did everything in a perfect level, there's still judges and police officers and sheriffs that do not obey orders, and they do whatever they want. And so this I can control. Living in the private, state citizenship, the Department of State getting passports issued as a state citizen, I can control. I cannot control what a judge does from the bench. So about 6 years ago, we moved on from that aspect of helping people with foreclosures, and we devoted 100% of something we can absolutely control. So the beginning part of our process, and I'm going to show you a diagram, and I don't want you to focus on the diagram. I'm just going to show it to you for a second so you can kind of understand that we are in fact organized. This diagram depicts every element of how we get started and roll through the process. I'm going to give you guys a copy of this diagram so you can look at it locally and digest this. This isn't something I want to walk through and spend the next 20 or 30 minutes on explaining, because it's more important that I share with you what it is we do from a structural system standpoint as an overhead view, and then help you to understand some pricings and what we could do to get you onboarded and get you guys free. So when you take the approach of this is a corporation and I can just quit it, it becomes a lot easier for you to understand. And when you see what we show you, because we put it all in the law, we put it all in our letters, meaning the law within the letters, and we help you to understand that every element of everything on this earth is done through trust. There's always some form or position of a grantor, a grantee, and a trustee. And the grantee is the beneficiary. The grantor is the trust or the maker, the creator. And the trustee is always the liability, because that's the one making the decisions for the beneficiary. So in your life, in everything you do, a DMV driver's license is a trust indenture. It's not a countersigned agreement. There's nobody on the other end signing something. There's no offer, acceptance, consideration, performance, full disclosure. These are the 5 elements of a typical agreement. A driver's license, you're the only one who signs it. A Social Security Administration form, you're the only one who signs it. By the way, you did it. Your parents either did it for you or you did it as a minor child. And so on with every other major adhesion contract or adhesion trust that we are dealing with. So coming from the background of real estate, coming from the background of foreclosures, coming from the background of understanding the federal rules of procedure, federal court, understanding how due process is taking place. What I did was, a long time ago, we took what was in federal court to bring a judgment forward. You have to first exhaust your administrative process in the private. So, so before you bring a case, you got to say, yeah, I completely tried to handle this privately, basically is what that means. But in order for you to get judgment, summary judgment, you got to bring forth some evidence. You got to show proof and exhaust the administrative process first, and then you bring forth evidence, and then you request summary judgment based on the facts. And so non-judicial foreclosures are much like what we do. Like in a non-judicial foreclosure, they will send you a bunch of letters and you don't respond. Then they send you a notice of default. 90 days later, a notice of sale. And then 28 days, 30 days after that, then they hold a sale on the courthouse steps. They want to give it a color of importance on the courthouse steps, but it has been completely handled in the private through an administrative process. And then they steal your house on the courthouse steps, where a trustee is a person that holds the sale and makes sure they collect. And then obviously they sell it to their buddies, their friends, their family, whatever. And that's what we've seen over and over and over in these foreclosure proceedings. So for me, I'm like, well, where did they get that process from that allows them to non-judicially steal something from somebody? Well, you've agreed to it. But it also is well written within the federal rules of procedure. And so if they can do that to you on your home, you could do that to them on your license. You could do that to them on the Social Security Administration. You could do that to them with the IRS. Built within the IRS code is a revocation of election. So if you don't think for a second that you are not electing to pay taxes, I assure you it says so within the code, their own code. And I assure you that when you utilize the revocation of election, we do 3 separate things with the IRS. We do a notice of status. It's kind of like a requirement. And then you do a fault and a default. We do a revocation of election, but as a state citizen, then a fault and an opportunity to cure and a default. And then we do a removal of signature from all the 1040s, everything, and then a notice of non-response, opportunity to cure, and a fault, and then a default. And so what is happening is we're taking the private side remedy and we're bringing forth judgment because we give them every opportunity to cure, and then we default them in the private. Now, there are some people that don't believe this process exists. And I have to tell people, well, the non-judicial foreclosure is absolute proof. But I also can show people that I personally went after the city of Huntington Beach, and I went after 650 of their homes, and I faulted them, defaulted them. I did a maritime lien, and then I did a what's known as a non-judicial maritime lien and a nihil deceit judgment. And then I filed that in a green jacket in federal court. And then I took the judgment in federal court. I leaned on 650 homes in the city of Huntington Beach, going on 14 years now. So I'm just sitting there with these liens on 650 homes, and there's nothing they can do about it. And that's because a private side remedy was executed flawlessly. And a judge actually tried to dismiss it, and I voided his actions out because I did it in admiralty, and that's higher than federal court. Point being, this exists in our law. So if they're going to make sure that you get your hair pulled out if you're driving without a license and you end up going through the window sideways and clubbed to death, I'm going to make sure that you have a license in your wallet, but only one that's contracted for the artificial person. And I'm going to flip your position as trustee to beneficiary on that contract. So everything that we do in dealing with these adhesion trusts is we change the terms from being the trustee to the beneficiary, number one. Number two, we cancel the agreement for the living man or woman completely. and then we fault them and default them, but keep the license valid for the artificial person known as your birth certificate. Sounds crazy? I get it, but it's a fact in law. Your birth certificate is the U.S. citizen. Your birth certificate is found under Uniform Commercial Code 9. It's known as a registered organization. It's Inslee's Trust. I've heard a lot of different terms. It's a corporation, and it's publicly traded on Wall Street. And and because of the fact that you're holding an office to the artificial person and using that in every tense and every form of your life, you're considered the collateral and the surety for that. And because that artificial person was monetized, securitized against the debt of this nation, well, when the nation's faulted, they're going to come after you. That's just straight up. We are currently helping people with CPS. We're currently helping people that are having issues in all kinds of ways. But the best way to help somebody is to come out. And it's this simple: quit the corporation. It's that simple. This isn't something that you have to be in fear of. This isn't something that is going to dramatically change your life. The things that are going to happen to you are freedom. You're going to be left alone. And if you like those two things, you're going to be a great part of this ministry and what we do. That's all that happens. We have no complaints on file. We have an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau, even though we don't consider ourselves a business. We are private, we are unregistered, and we are in fact a church ministry that is offering our services, but we don't have a donor base. And so everything we do is based on somebody paying for a service. And yes, I've ran businesses in my past, and I've had 1,200 plus employees, and I've had big shops, and I understand the scope of how to run a small to medium-sized business. So I'm not going to let this fail. We're going to charge. We're going to do a great service. We're going to give great customer support. And through the entire process, you're going to know what you need to do. And we're an open book. Like our website, HISAdvocates.org, is an open book, meaning anybody can post anything on our website and our blogs that are existing living in the private members, and they talk about their experiences with the process. We have a Q&A that we do every 2 weeks now at 4 p.m. Pacific. So if you have questions that you're not able to get answered on your ticket, you can post a request for a phone call. We do those for emergency use. If it's not an emergency, just hang tight, and you'll get a live response from me explaining something in depth. But please understand, we've answered 1,400 questions, all of which in every regard: employment, private trusts, private foundations, Social Security, retirement, investments, Securities and Exchange Commission contracts, registered investors, investment contracts, crypto, you name it. You can do that privately and not publicly. Name it. There isn't anything you're doing right now that can't be flipped from your social or a corporation name to a private, unregistered foundation. Nothing. And you can trade in your foundation, which is private and under God directly. Or you can, if you don't believe in God, which I don't understand that, that's okay. If you don't believe you didn't go from the goo to the zoo to you, you know what I'm saying? It's like there are a lot of people still believe in that phenomena of the goo to the zoo to you, to the evolutionary process. I'm not there. I'm way past that. And in this nation, the irony is, the second you become a state citizen, you have to understand what you're becoming. You're actually saying, because the word state of the union, means you're one of the people. That's all it means. And so the capitalized version of state of California, is the corporation, and that is a community of persons. So people are moved from private, free, under God directly, to being under a corporation, under a state, and holding the office of a person, and that's their job. And that's all this is. We have all these tiny jobs. You have a job to uphold the DMV agreement. You have a job to uphold the SSA agreement. You have a job to uphold the IRS. You got all these jobs. Enough is enough. Right here. Let's quit. Let's just move on. And let's make sure that they don't steal our wealth anymore. Let's make sure that we dedicate everything that we do towards a ministry that is untaxable. You can't file a return on it if you want. You can't collect state tax on it if you wanted to. You can have online businesses. You can have foreign registered trusts that collect crypto and move money into bank accounts that are private trusts, private foundations. These are all stuff that we help people with. Any business that you can do that isn't a business conducive of what I would say sin nature, meaning we don't do businesses relating to drugs, alcohol, bars, different things like that. We don't allow for that in our ministry. Not to say that you can't go get a UBT and start your own privately and have private members come in and still hold liquor licenses and those various things. We don't help you to do that. You could pay us to consult with you on how to structure that up. But again, there's people out there that we have to say no to in regards to the type of businesses that they have. But my point is 99% of the businesses that you're in can be converted to private, including real estate, chiropractic, you name it. Plenty of doctors with names bigger than you've ever thought are experiencing privacy and in a way that they never thought they could have. But this is something that is so niche and hard to believe. And I get it. And I'm only going to keep you for however long that you need from here. But this is something so niche, so unique, and such an important time of our life to where you really need to make a decision. Because we're seeing it harder and harder in the responses we're getting from the Department of State. We're seeing next level stuff that is taking place, and we're writing very unique and letters to respond, and yes, still getting passports, but doing a lot more work than we did 2 or 3 years ago. This is critical that you guys get this. This is an important thing that you guys understand, because the longer that you wait, a window may close. But when it comes time for the ultimate judgment to take place on this land, you will be private and you will be under God. And there's many things that are, both biblically speaking, that will support you from not having to go through some serious judgments. And there are things on a worldly side that will keep you from having to go through trial, that will keep you from having to lose your homes, lose your cars, lose things that don't belong to the state any longer because you put title in the name of the foundation and they don't have jurisdiction over that. And that's a critical component. We take, looking at that diagram that I showed you, every element of your life and privatize it. This isn't just about a passport and state citizenship. We look at how they gain jurisdiction over you, and we change the elements of their ability to have jurisdiction. We reverse engineered warrants, indictments, and I thought to myself, it can't be that simple. It is. It really is. And it's not like I'm trying to help criminals. I don't want to help criminals. I will not help pedophiles. I will not help people that commit violent crimes. I will not help people that are into those things. It's not what we're about. We just want to be left alone. I'm done. We're done playing nice guy anymore. And we're getting the job done. And we're trying to next level it with everybody. And get people to another side to make a decision. And so I do want to ask, we do have a chat. You can unmute yourself at any time. I do want to ask if you have any questions, and what we're going to do is send you out an opportunity via email. So make sure, Kristen, you have everybody that's registered on this and written down so we can get a personal invite. What we're going to do is we're going to show you the different cost structures and nature via email of becoming private. If any one of these opportunities fit within your budget, just click on it, get set up in the system. We'll follow up and we'll have an onboarding call with you and we'll walk you through how to get set up onto this. If there is any one of these that doesn't fit within your budget, just simply shoot a response. I can't afford that. Is there anything else that we can do? And we will call you and work out something in a budget to make it happen. Again, we're self-supported ministry. I do not have billion-dollar donors. I don't have million-dollar donors. We are, everything that comes into this ministry is going to pay next level things to help free people. We're on, just by the way, we're on 4 network television, Amazon Fire, Android TV, Apple TV, and that's a very difficult one to get on, and Roku. We're starting to get on cable networks. All those things cost a lot. And it's the only way that you can stay on a quote unquote media network is when you're paying for it. Social media, they can control you because you're not paying for it directly. Like, I can't say what I want to say on our YouTube account anymore. We lost our YouTube account. We had 16 plus thousand followers on it over 2 years ago. Best thing that ever happened to us. Now our YouTube account only has 2,000, but we're working on building that up, and we'll get it probably well over 50,000 within the next year with what we're doing on things. But the bottom line is those things cost, and to get information out to people in the time that we have to do it, I don't know how much more time this nation has. But in my opinion, to rebuild a republic, you have to do it individually. I was a part and still am a part of the rebuilding of the republic for the United States of America. I'm a super proud member of it. I will never walk away from that, and I support them. But I realized something in conversations with hundreds of law professors and smart people. The republic can only be full of people that are free of contracts from the United States corporation. You can't have people in republic and hold an office, because if they are still a United States citizen, they are a conflict of interest. And that's why we do what we do. I realized that 12 years ago, and I'm like, I got to free the people. So I started HISAdvocates. We've been running it above reproach. Again, 0 complaints. We're on multiple TV networks. Our goal is to support you unlimited and give you what you need to become free. And everybody has unique questions. But again, we have answered 1,400, maybe 1,500 separate individual questions, all posted on hisadvocates.org, many posted on hisadvocates.tv, on YouTube, BitChute, and the like. So if you don't have any questions right now, I'll wait. Anybody can unmute themselves and ask any question that they want. Go ahead, Mike. You have the floor.
Hey, Kelby. Mike Dibble here, friends of the Urzua family, if you know them.
Okay, yes.
They speak really highly of you, and I just want not really a question here, just want to compliment you. I know what you do is extremely difficult, but it matters so much. So thank you
Thank you.
for just doing something like this, having this mission on your heart, because you're definitely saving people. And I jumped on here just to hear a little bit more. I've been learning. I'm a new member, new VIP, but I'm going to get rolling, and I'm excited because the country needs more guys like you out here with the boots on, right?
Yeah.
Helping people, meeting people. So kudos to you. And I don't want to take up too much time. I just wanted to say thank you. I
Well, good to
appreciate it,
meet you,
man.
brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you down in San Diego?
Yes, I was. I was down there at the
Yeah,
Emerge
he
event.
invited me
Yep.
down there last minute, and I'm like, dude, I mean, that's like 2 hour drive. I can't make it down there right now. I
We
wish
had
I
a blast. We're going next year. So
what is it? Is it a big event?
yeah. So if you're familiar with the Awaken Church,
Okay.
that started in San Diego, that 16 campuses, they're kind of spreading out east now and north. And they do this men's event, Emerge Men's Conference, and a lot of praise and worship, a lot of prophetic speakers, and a lot of field events. So we're doing tire flips, truck pulls, all that kind of stuff. Just really good fellowship. And yeah,
I
Yeah,
have a
it's
feeling
good
that
time, man.
that's going to be my entire 2024 is going to be touring churches. I have a feeling
Yeah,
that that's the big next step because we're buttoning up
good.
all these little ends right here, and the church is the only way to do it. The church, they
That's
need to
right.
and just the level of deception that's been done over them. Um, but for a church to become free, really the pastor has to become free, and the church itself has
Hmm.
to become free because the churches are 501(c)(3s and the pastors are bound and they're scared to death, man. They're doing everything their city tells them to do. They're shutting down. They're not singing. Um,
Hmm.
they're wearing masks at the pulpit. I'm like, are you serious? Come
It's
on,
crazy.
dude.
It's crazy.
You
So you
know?
might gel with these guys real well because this message over the weekend was about breaking contract with the enemy,
Oh
right?
my
And the
gosh.
strongholds. So I mean, I
Huge.
don't know the ins and outs of their business model and like how they expand, but they attract a lot of wealthy people and they just buy up property, right? They don't lease anything. They don't want to be federally funded. They don't want any of that garbage. And he's one of the only guys that stayed open during COVID, and he was prosecuted. And he just said, "Hey, if the strip clubs are open and the casinos are open and all these other
Amen.
places are open, I'm staying open."
Amen.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Jurgen Matesius, look him up. If I can connect with you, I'll send you some of this stuff so you can kind of wrap your brain around who these people are. And him and his wife do a really good job.
Do whatever you can to set up a meeting. Just make a quick introduction. Breaking contracts is as important in the spirit as it is in the physical, because
That's right.
people truly don't understand. You know, when the Bible says it is a mystery, and what that Babylonian structure is, it just blows my mind. It was written 3,000 years ago. All these prophetic and here it's fully playing out,
Yeah,
and
man.
there's no other structure, there's no other system. This is it. I mean, literally every birth certificate, people don't realize this, every birth certificate in the world is registered through a company name that sounds like a country, like Australia
Mm-hmm.
Republic. Look at Google Australia Republic Securities and Exchange Commission. Australia Republic is registered in Washington, D.C., in the Securities and Exchange Commission. So all their birth certificates could trade in the whore Babylon. Every country is registered through this whore. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
a corporate liaison mirroring the true United States of America, the true Australia, the true nation of people. They're contracting into these corporations, they're selling their kids, they're selling their marriages, they're selling everything just to get permission from man
Yep.
to have a child, have a marriage, and none of that is required. But there are
Right.
pastors that believe that it is required. And so that's the problem we have. And I can easily debunk that by helping a pastor understand Romans 13 like they've never heard it before. And I can show a pastor where in 2 Peter 2:13, it does not say you are to be obedient to every form of human government. It actually says you may be required in the original Greek. It never said you are required or you must or you this may be required. And that's an important thing, especially when you understand what we have here as self-governance in this nation. Because in self-governance, we are the government. In self-governance, Romans 13 would say that they are out of line and they are operating in sin because we are the government. And pastors don't get that. They're not being taught that
Wow.
by their pastors. And so they're not conveying that to the people. We are the government, except we, for the most part, have people that are connected to and are employees of a corporation and have an obligation to be a subservient to that corporation. So, yeah, I get it. There's an element of truth to what they're saying and being obedient to the United States corporation. But the reality is, you can quit and come back under God directly. And in the United States of America, we're the only nation ever in the history of the world to come out of all of that and come under God directly and be self-governed. We actually are the only nation to do what the original Israelites did. And God is the only thing there is nothing between us and God. So we are the government. And all you have to do is quit. And that's the biggest thing. If pastors could understand that and teach that, everybody would want to be free.
Amen. I agree. It starts there.
I
So what
appreciate you,
it's the
brother.
mission.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank
reach
you.
out
Thank
anytime
you.
you need anything.
I will. Thanks, Calby.
You got it. And Jenny, go ahead. You have the
Yes.
floor.
Hi, I have a question. Um, So we've just recently learned about the straw man thing in the last year and a half, and started doing a lot of research. And in doing the research, I found you, and I also found the state assemblies, the American state national thing. I missed the first minute or two of this talk, so I don't know if you mentioned it. But is there a difference between the status you're talking about and the American state nationals, what they're doing?
Yeah, I've addressed that quite a bit. I have a couple of videos that you can look at that'll address it more extensive. The word state national, you always look to the end word, so it's national, or national of itself, which is 8 USC 1101 A21. What the United States Corporation did was they created in code the word national, and they want people to believe that it is synonymous with being a state of the Union citizen. So they literally wrote in 8 USC 1101 A21, national is a person that owes allegiance to a state, or a person that I forget exactly what it says, but just go look it up in Cornell law. But here's the crazy part. They say, okay, I'm a person and I hold allegiance to a state. That therefore it must be a state citizen. No, no, no. When you click on state, none of the 50 federal states or the 50 several states of the union are there. It's all federal territories. And so in law, when you dig deeper where that is found, the word national, you'll find that it is synonymous with the United States citizen. Number one, it doesn't reflect the 50 several states of the union. Number two, it only reflects territories. And number three, it's a person. It's not a natural man or a woman. And number four, they created the code. Where is in 100 Supreme Court rulings does it say national? It doesn't. It says state citizen. It says state of the union citizen. The Supreme Court and the public law all support state of the union citizen. The word national, national of the United States, state national, whatever, all of that is a trick. And all those people get hundreds of per views, hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube. And I'm trying to correct the assemblies and help them. And I'm in full support of the assemblies. Anybody that wants to gather and support and try to re-inhabit the republic, but we fail for a lack of knowledge. And I will stand up and sit down and talk to any of these people. There's a few of them, I believe, that are guru representatives that are actual agents for the federal government. I do believe
Like
that.
Anna von Reitz?
I will not publicly say that.
Oh,
But the reality is you have to consider everybody that is out there and how quick that they are getting views, and they completely pull everybody out. This is kind of a sad thing, but people from that organization that you just asked about are constantly coming here in trouble. They are constantly in trouble. And so we have to undo their docs, which is not a big deal, and then redo everything as a state
okay.
of the union citizen. As a matter of fact, Anna responded to me publicly about national, and none of what she said made any sense, but it was all a bunch of what she does. It dances around. But I'm not a self-proclaimed judge. I didn't get elected by the people to be a judge. I'm just a guy who likes to read the law, and I'm very proficient at it. And everything that I do, I show in the law. The word national is only in codified US code. That means the United States created it. So why in the heck would you want to be something that isn't even in public law? It's in the United States code. Why would you want to be that?
Okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
So this is really helpful because I'm a theater artist, not a legal person in any sense. The theater that I work in is not a court. So we just want to make sure we're doing the right thing because it is expensive, and also we want to know the truth and tell the truth and share the truth. And we're getting ready to we're preparing an event, a project where we're going to go on the road. We're touring, and we can share information about becoming the right status while we're on the road. But I don't want to lead anyone astray. And we
Yeah.
have lots of questions. We have a 501c3 nonprofit. We have 3 LLCs. Well, I don't know how to do any of that. And anyway, so I understand that you can answer those questions and
So
help us.
within like I'm gonna be doing this presentation ongoing, but I'm going to make it so that it's very easy from a diagram and what we do to help people culminate and understand. Like you just said, I'm a 501c3. We have that solution, meaning we will give you, within our Living in the Private program, we create you a private foundation so that you can open up private bank accounts. So you can go and open up stock trade accounts. You can open up crypto exchange accounts. You can open up anything as a private foundation. And it has no requirement in the IRS code to file a return. You will never file a return on this. You will never have to answer any claim from the IRS. We've never seen the IRS look into or try to audit one of these. And I've done 4,000 to 5,000 of these. So when you understand that we help you in commerce, we help you with your existing structures, we help you personally to become free, we help you with your homes, we help you with your cars, putting it into the foundation name. You want to take everything that belongs to the state currently, because you may not think it belongs to the state, but if it's registered in your name, or if it's registered in an LLC name or an S Corp name, it belongs to the state. Anything that is a registered organization belongs to the state. When you create a foundation and you're transferring that asset into the foundation, and now it belongs to God, and you're the fiduciary of it. And because you can't own and control anything in this life, and you'll find that out when you pass, that it's just going to pass on to the next controller of that foundation tax-free. And so that's the element and the understanding. They've created all of this for themselves, and they forgot to tell people, but they also created it because you couldn't do it for any, like God would not allow for something like women literally can operate in the private under God directly here, and all the United States code and law supports it, all of it. Like there is no requirement to be under the IRS code. There is no requirement to hold an office, to have employment. They can't force you to do anything outside of your will. And it's everything that they do is under voluntary nature, just like these FEMA camps. Everybody's going to be walking in them because they're going to be hungry. Yeah. And that's why the churches need to rally up, because there's many churches that are going to be saying, hey, go to the FEMA camp, because they've already set that up. Hey, go to the FEMA camp. Hey, go to the FEMA camp. No, churches need to start being the government again. Churches need to represent God's favor for the people so that people can go and hang out and get counsel directly under somebody at that church, get fed, get clothed, get sheltered. That's what churches really need to become in this nation. So I know it's a little bit off topic, but we help you on every element of what you're needing and what you go through. Our one program does that.
So is there is the process of the paperwork? I know there's all these different entities, from the nonprofit to the LLC to just your driver's license. Is it a successive, if you pick one of them, let's say the birth certificate status, the straw man thing, if you take that, is it file paperwork one time for that, or is this a succession of paperwork where you do this and then they respond and then you do something else and they respond? Or is it just a one and done?
With the Department of State, everything else is done just one time by you.
Okay.
And we do we do all of the paperwork. The only thing you have to do is read, acknowledge, notarize, put it in an envelope, mail.
I'm about to move into your backyard. Just so you know.
You're about to move into California, is that what you said?
Your backyard.
Oh my.
It was a joke.
That's funny. Yeah.
Anyway.
We do everything for the people. I mean, every letter is written by us. We ask that you read it, identify it, make it your own. If you make it your own, we ask you to please upload it and highlight where you changed it, because we don't want you to sound like a sovereign citizen. We just want you to be an American. And because that's all we're doing. We're just helping people to quit the corporation. We're not sovereign citizens. We're not nationals. We're not American nationals. We're not state nationals. We're just Americans, state of the union citizens. Like my state is California, and it's basically a body of people living on the West Coast. That's all it means. And so,
all right. Well, we feel like this is urgent, and so we'll look forward to talking more with you or Kristen or whatever we do.
Would love to talk with you privately if you want to set something up with Kristen and you need extra questions answered beyond the email that we send out. We're going to send out the diagram, some payment options, some different anything to help you to understand how to make this easy. Pick the best payment option for you. Just start up the program. We'll create you a support ticket. Everything is done through the support ticket. If you can't get something answered there, you can get on the Monday Q&A. You can set up a private consultation. We're not limiting you for support. Most everything is free. Sometimes people have nuancy stuff regarding their company, and we charge a consultation fee that's above whatever, and we help them. Like, people want to bring their homes into the private. We actually give you a deed of trust for free, a warranty deed or a grant deed that you can change into your home into the private. And me being a real estate guy, I've been studying this stuff for years. I know how to affect a private side grant deed, buy gold, by hand, fee simple, using meets and bounds, and putting the property in the name of the foundation, not using any of the elements that are jurisdictionally related. USD, that's jurisdiction, meaning Federal Reserve notes. Legal description, that's jurisdiction. Joint tenant, that's jurisdiction. Fee simple, you're holding absolute title, and you're getting it recorded. That means anything in the ground is yours, and it's all because we fail for a lack of knowledge. So our program handles every element of your life, and our support is stellar. And I give a lot of kudos to our support team, and I'm really happy about how they help people. And in worst case scenarios, emergency services, we're on the phone with you, and no additional costs. And we also have a tip jar for our support team. And it's, got to understand something. Prices have gone through the roof. So like in this last year and a half, y'all got to recognize and agree with me. The cost of a grocery bag has gone from 50 to maybe 75 or 110 bucks per bag of groceries. The gallon of gas here went from 3.59 to 5.50 something. So everything has gone up, but our prices have not gone up. So essentially, we are staying low, and we're at about 60 to 50% of what we were from a pricing standpoint last year, and still running a company, meaning running this ministry. So we have a little support. If you want to help Rob out or help one of our back end out, you can tip them. And it's a unique way to bless them for their time, and it's very much appreciated. But they do an excellent amount of and a lot of very specific work in addressing detailed questions. So it's worth it. It's worth it way more than going out to a dinner with your friends and family and tipping that waiter who came and said hello to you and dropped your meals. These guys, you have no idea how hard like Rob works, and I give him a lot of kudos and support. So whatever you can, whatever questions you have, I'm going to send out an email. And what I do for people is so that they understand, when you review the agreement, if no matter what you do, if you make a decision within the next 3 days, you save $1,000, no matter what. And if you can't make a decision, let's get on a phone and figure something out for you. Okay, that makes it affordable. And so don't look at this as the end all. I'm going to try to get something that in the next couple of hours off to everybody that you can understand and digest and be committed towards. And then we will turn that around and start helping you to move your family or yourself into the private, and just work within the guidelines of what we do. Everything goes through the support ticket, and understand you can't pick up the phone all the time. That's how we win. Keep a managed support ticket. We say this, you do this. And that way we have a chain of communications that's absolute, and we can show that we've done our job. And we get it. There's some things that can't be done over a support ticket. So we offer a next level online Q&A where I personally answer the questions, or we give you a place to go and review dozens and dozens of answered questions of that same topic. and then you can go, oh, I get it. And then that way, because we're developing out our knowledge base, we're developing all these things out to make it easy for everybody. So again, just review the email that's coming out to you. If you have any questions, get back to Kristen. We'll set up some private calls to work out some payment plans for you guys and get you guys onboarded. And we very much appreciate the opportunity to serve you and freeing you and freeing your family. And God bless you guys. I thank you for your time. Any final questions?
Thank you so much, Kelly.
You got it. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate you. All right, Kristen. Thank you for putting this together, and I'll reach out to you shortly, Kristen. God bless you guys.